Hi, my name is Liz, and I'm one of the founding members of the Let's Talk About It conference, an Atlanta-based conference led by experts in queer and trans clinical care. The conference, taking place on March 14th and 15th and offered in person and virtually, was born from our experiences with continuing education about working with queer and trans folks. As affirming clinicians, we often left these spaces wanting more. Topics covered include ethics and ethical liberation, parenting and non-monogamy, and more. To register, please visit letstalkaboutitcon.com, and we hope to see you there.
Welcome back, amazing listeners, to another episode of the TeleWellness Hub podcast. I'm Marta Hamilton, your host, and today we are speaking with Liz Rhea and Ryan DeVane from Grounded WellBeing. Some of you may have listened in on my conversation with Ryan in the past. He is the founder and clinical director of Grounded WellBeing, and he started this practice to provide holistic wellness services to all people of all identities by incorporating healing for mind, body, and spirit. And now we're also joined by Liz, who provides holistic and affirming care to queer, trans, and gender expansive folks, as well as folks navigating religious trauma and faith deconstruction living in Georgia and Florida. Welcome, Liz. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm excited.
I was so excited to get to talk. You know, if you listen back to our first episode with Ryan, we left off kind of saying, okay, we need to talk more. There's more conversation to be had, and I personally was left with many questions that I just, as a clinician and just personally, I remember wanting to live in Georgia so I can go to your actual group practice and join in on some sound healing and some hypnotherapy. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I recommend that you check out the previous episodes. We had a chance to talk, Ryan and I, a little bit about why he does the wellness work that he does. And today, I guess I'm putting Liz on the spot first to ask, why do you do the wellness work that you do?
Yeah, I think so much of my values just as a human being, and also part of the reason that I really got into therapy and providing community resources is just because I believe deeply that we heal in community, and that community can look so different, and that wellness has to incorporate communal aspects into it. And I really enjoy getting to work with my clients and building and expanding their community and getting to engage in the communal resources that we offer and be at a practice that prioritizes wellness within community feels so important to me and so congruent with my personal values and my professional values.
Yeah, and I'm sure that is so clearly felt by others to the point, because I forgot to mention that at Grounded WellBeing, the practice, you are the senior clinician and the team lead. So you are leading others. Sounds like a passion beyond just the one-on-one interactions, which can be very powerful with individual clients, but really it's spreading that to other therapists and to the wellness of the practice as a whole. So I think that's probably, it speaks for itself. I mean, that passion that you mentioned, the why. I got to find out too that you take this passion beyond Grounded WellBeing because you're TikTok famous. I'm not on TikTok, but now I'm like, I just need to create an account because you have how many 14,000 followers? Am I getting that wrong? Is it more?
It is a little over 16,000.
Okay. I didn't write down the number.
Every person matters.
Yes. So, I mean, I think, and you're on there, what are some of the things that you're talking about?
Yeah. So I joined TikTok just as let's just see how this goes. And really value, if I'm going to show up on the internet in kind of a professional, public facing way, which feels a little weird to say, then I want to do so that in a way that aligns with my values. And what that has looked like is kind of twofold. One, it is hard being a new therapist. I mean, I'm still kind of a new therapist, right? I've only been in this work for a little over a year and a half, right? And I didn't know a lot. People weren't answering questions. I didn't know what to do, how to find clients, like how to network, like anything like that. And so, and then on the flip side of that, as someone who has the privilege of having been in therapy for, close to a decade of my life, a little over a decade of my life, it was so scary the first time I was like sitting on the couch in my therapist's office and had no idea what to expect, right? And so really one of my primary goals with being on TikTok is making information accessible both to clinicians and clients about what therapy can look like. And, just talking about like what it looks like to provide gender affirming care as well. And being a therapist who aligns deeply with values and how that looks in sessions with clients, I think can be really important.
Yeah. And I love that you all sound as a practice at Grounded WellBeing through your leadership, at least both of you, have been able to really take a look at how to use creativity in providing affirming approaches, in providing awareness and modalities for healing or tapping into wellness. So whether it's individual therapy sessions, even group, yoga, sound healing, whether it's virtually through multiple states, right? Because that's the beauty of also it just sounds like you guys really just expand the opportunity to as many people who would like to seek their support, and even beyond kind of traditional modalities to be available through social media and even on Amazon. That's why I have you guys on here too, to talk about just the creative projects that you have done, conferences. I want to talk about that. I'm just so impressed, honestly, and inspired by the work you're doing. So if you're open to it, if we could talk a little bit about first your queer magic, a coloring adventure for queer folks and trans folks that you guys worked on together. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, and I think too, I feel so honored to know Liz, and I was so happy to meet her and, be a part of her journey and professional, just commitment. She gives everything to everything that she does. And it's just a pleasure to be on the leadership team with her and to build this wonderful thing in so many ways. And I think the other thing that we both share is that we have this idea that if something doesn't exist, well, then we must create it. And even if we don't know how to do it, we will figure it out and we will do some research and we will make it happen, because we recognize that, access is important. We recognize that therapy is a privilege, and, we want to make sure that people have access to materials and to things that they might not have otherwise, right? And so a coloring book was a really fun, creative project that we could engage in order to bring some healing and love and light to the world for people who might not have the opportunity to sit in our offices individually. I think the other thing that we value is, as clinicians, as therapists, we are trained and we have a lot of skills, and all of that can, transcend the therapy office, can transcend the therapy room. And so, I'm just really glad that Liz shares that passion with me. And was interested in creating a coloring book when I proposed the idea. So I'll throw it to you, Liz, to kind of talk through more about how we did it.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for, your kind words. And I think we just make such a wonderful team, which has been so fun. And I fondly call it the, like, how hard can it be gene of like, well, if we don't see it happening, let's just like try it, right? What's the harm there? And so, truly the process for this coloring book was, we were chatting about it and was like, as therapists, like Ryan said, we're trained to do therapy really well, but actually therapists have a lot of skills that are, you can use in a variety of different ways. It's just learning like how you want to use those skills. Right. And I think, coloring book is a really fun way to create a resource that, most of our clients at Grounded WellBeing hold queer trans identities, right? And so being able to say, hey, we literally made a coloring book that is centering your identities is so powerful. And honestly, it didn't take us a whole lot of time to really create the coloring book, because I feel like once we get our wheels spinning, it's just like, boom, 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 here we go. Like, let's just like make it happen. And it's been so cool. Like I know we have a lot of clients and people who have like, even clinicians who have come to events who have used the coloring books in sessions, because I know for me as a therapist, a lot of my clients, it's really regulating to color during sessions. And it's really wonderful to be like, hi, here's a queer and trans-centered coloring book that you get to color during sessions. That's not just like, I don't know, a random rainbow, which is also great. And, you know, something that's centering their identities is really important.
Yeah, I'm so inspired. Honestly, the idea of like, if it doesn't exist, let's just create it. But how affirming, right? To be able to have that, just to really just feel so individualized and so custom. And I love what Ryan mentioned, that for those who maybe can't come into the appointments, they still have that love and healing intention from Grounded WellBeing at their fingertips. In terms of it turning into from idea to kind of content, this is just me. I've never published any kind of book, so I'm curious, how do you get it onto paper? And then, you know, was that hard to do?
Yes and no, I would say.
Okay.
Honestly, we were able to design a lot of it through like Canva. And just using like, that's a software that we use so frequently, right? And being able to design it through that, which was really fun. The getting it onto paper, I'm gonna throw that to Ryan, because that was mostly, Ryan is really great at figuring out some of the logistics of that type of stuff.
Yeah, because I'm so curious. I will put the link to the book in the show notes. But for those who are listening and imagining what it looks like, it's really cool designs and kind of the outlines, black and white. And it looks like there's 20 designs. It says everything from chosen family, my existence matters. So like, just did one of you draw it out? Did you get it printed? All of that. It sounds just.
Yeah. So the beauty of Canva is that there's lots of designs on there that other artists have, you know, created and that they're open to others using. And so we kind of took some foundational pieces that we really liked on there and then put our own creative queer and trans lens twist on it, and really designed it in a way that we thought was thoughtful and, approachable to others. Like Liz said, you know, we use this in our sessions with our clients. Once we published it, you know, we made it accessible and readily available for them. We started with the digital download version. And so I think that was the easiest way to just kind of, you know, get it going, get it started. Again, we like to build the plane as we fly it. And of course, while we're doing very good work, but the final product doesn't have to be, you know, where you start. And so for anyone listening, you know, I think just give yourself permission to have imperfect action and to not, to just do it, even if you don't know exactly where it's going to end up or how to make it happen. Just get started and you'll figure it out along the way. We started with the digital download. That's still available on our website, so anybody can purchase it and, you know, download it and then print it themselves. And then we also created the Amazon version, which we use the Kindle Direct Publishing through Amazon in order to do, which again, you know, they walk you through it. It's not as hard as it sounds. The most difficult part was, you know, getting the formatting correct to a point where Amazon would accept it. But after I think 20 edits and revisions, we made it happen and it is live now and lives there. And so, you know, I think, doing some research and, you know, walking through some of those opportunities that exist, you know, and just figuring it out from other people. I think, you know, that's something that Liz and I both really deeply value, is not gatekeeping information and sharing it. And so, you know, if this is something that you're interested in or you've been wanting to do some kind of creative project and you're not sure how to get started, we are open to sharing the wisdom and knowledge that we have.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that.
I was just going to add one other thing, which is that when we started this coloring book, it was mostly for us, right? We were like, this is a coloring book that we're creating something that like we would want to use. And whether other people like it, whether it, you know, we're able to get it published on Amazon, because around the 10th time, it was looking a little dicey there. And we are losing a little bit of hope. But, you know, creating something and using that creative outlet for us, and then as like a primary thing, and then, you know, going from there and seeing how it grew, kind of like Ryan was saying, of like, yeah, where we started and where we've ended up looks kind of different. And it's just been cool to see it, like, I don't know, land in other people's offices, which is so fun.
Yes. And what a great metaphor, like you describe, Ryan, too, and just where you might start off, you might not know, but you kind of work through it. And, you know, before we hit record, we were talking a little bit about the importance of knowing your values as a therapist. And I heard, you know, just in this recording, you both have mentioned a little bit about community and affirming care and creativity. And I'm not sure if those are exactly your values, but you can hear it come through with just your dedication and commitment to a project like this. And I think it's so cool that you're kind of tapping into and embracing the opportunity for freedom and creativity within the therapy world. I think traditionally it's been like therapists. I'm a therapist is my background. So I feel like there's been kind of a box, like you said, whether it's gatekeeping or this is how you do the work. And I love that there's this opportunity for creativity, so to have freedom in the way clinicians are doing their wellness work. And I think it's awesome because so there's the coloring book, it's digital, it's paperback. There's also, I mentioned earlier, you guys are organizing a conference. You also have audio meditation. So let's talk about the conference, because I'm excited to learn more too.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, what a great segue into the conference name, which is let's talk about it. And the conference really was born really last summer, and it was kind of, it just felt so like universal synchronicities of, I was sitting in a training that was centering working with queer and trans families, and it was just really 101. And I texted Ryan and I said, we could do this, right? Really bringing in the how hard can it be, Gene? I'm like, we can put this to a 201, 301, right? Like we can go a little bit deeper than this training that I'm in. At the truly, like within the same couple of days, a couple other friends who, Chris and Casey, who the four of us make up the founding organizers of this conference, also texted Ryan about, hey, we are really disappointed in this training. Maybe we should do some trainings. And what we thought was going to be a small little training endeavor has turned into a 2-day full-blown conference where we have, we're partnering with Kennesaw State University, and it's virtual and in person. So you can literally attend anywhere in the world, anywhere in the country, which is amazing. Because we really wanted to prioritize accessibility in that way, and not just saying, hey, if you can actually travel to Kennesaw, then you can access this conference, but you can access it from anywhere. You can be in Kennesaw and access it from the comfort of your own home, and making sure we're really aligning with our value of accessibility in that way. And we have, I think it's 12 presenters, Ryan. I could be wrong. Around like 12 presentations, I think, that are all, centering queer and trans affirming care, and how we can go a little bit deeper than just, here are some definitions, right? But what does it mean to engage in, ethical liberation when working with queer and trans folks, right? Things like that I think are really important and not talked about enough.
Yeah. And Liz is also presenting on religious trauma, faith deconstruction, purity culture type things, and working with queer and trans people. And so, yeah, we have, a wonderful array of presenters and topics that are being covered. And I think, something for everyone. There's ethics presentations, there's some presentations around defining families and, being expansive around that. We've got some things around working in play therapy, and working with queer and trans youth and young adults. And so, yeah, there's a lot of really great stuff there. And I think, the intention around it, right? Like where we started is not where we're ending up. And we love that. We love to see it. There's been a lot of, I think it speaks to the need. We work in the South. We are located in Georgia. There's not a lot of opportunities for a conference like this. And it's just a need that exists. And so, yeah, we are taking it upon ourselves to help create it. I think that's also something that Liz and I are really good at. We are good at connecting people, creating spaces, holding spaces. And this, again, these are all qualities that we have as therapists. This is stuff that we're trained in. We're just doing it in a creative way. And so we're really excited about it, and like Liz said, there's hybrid options available. We can offer CEUs if you are in Georgia, and if you're outside of Georgia but want to access the information, it's priced in order to do that. We also have accessibility pricing as well, and sponsorship opportunities for you to sponsor an attendee. So, we wanted to make sure that we were thoughtful around the pricing and creating access to and giving students the opportunity to participate as well. And so, again, we heal within community. We're excited about creating this community. I think, that was another big intention around this, was just creating a community of affirming providers and people who are interested in this work, to start having these conversations and see where we end up with it.
I love this. I'm writing this down because I need to go sign up as a therapist. I'm not in Georgia, but I think, even just in this conversation, I think that there's a lot that can come up, and I typically refer out, but just being able to hold space with more intentionality before, like referring and just saying, I don't know, I'm not an expert in this area, but I know others who are, and being able to be more affirming along the process, even when it comes to a referral, when it comes to working with family members, just as a person living in this world, being able to be affirming, it's important. So I love that it's for providers and creating that community. And you mentioned students, because is this for graduate students? Just so I'm clear, so I can, okay.
Yeah. So it's for graduate students, professionals working already who are licensed, anyone really who is interested in attending and wanting access to some of this information, you're welcome to attend.
Okay.
Yeah, we really wanted to make sure that student pricing was available, because it's so hard in grad school being like, what am I doing? Like, especially for folks, who in March, they're going to be graduating in a couple months and joining, a practice, a community mental health, like whatever that looks like, right? And being like, yeah, you deserve access to this information too, even if you're still in grad school.
What are, if you don't mind, you mentioned something earlier, I wish I had written it down. What are some topics that are going to be new at this conference, at the Let's Talk About It conference for providers, to maybe get really excited about, that you've seen as something that's been missing from other trainings? Because you mentioned you were at this training, you're like, this is 101, I'd like to go a little bit deeper. I know you talked about faith deconstruction. Anything else that you think that is really important for people to consider and think about?
Yeah, so we really, and I'm doing this by memory because I don't have it pulled up, but I know we also have on the schedule too, there's topics around substance use, and, working with clients who might be navigating that. We have, do you know more than I do, Liz? Go ahead.
I do. I have a couple. One that I am really excited about is around geek therapy. Yeah, and so this is something that, at least, I'm not in the geek therapy world, so maybe this is being more talked about in larger circles. But one of the people who actually works at Grounded WellBeing is doing a presentation on geek therapy and how to use the media that your client already engages with in order to better connect with them and build a therapeutic relationship, which we're excited about. I think another one is, it can be really difficult to access trainings on parenting and non-monogamy. And we have one of our presenters is doing, I think, a 90-minute presentation on what it looks like just navigating parenting and when you're in a non-monogamous relationship, which that is I'm pumped for that one, because I work a lot with clients who are navigating ethical non-monogamy, a lot of whom do have children. And I'm trying to think of others. I'm also doing it off of the top of my head.
But that's great. Yes, that's what a wonderful opportunity to have this conference and be able to gain access to just really important topics to talk about, that maybe also some things you may not even consider. I'm thinking for some providers, you don't know what you don't know, right? And you may be missing out on an opportunity to really provide some affirming, supportive care. And so I'm excited about this conference. I just can't imagine, your brain must be always thinking, like I just picture it like coloring books and the audio and let's do a conference, you know.
Yes, yes. Another of our values at Grounded Wellbeing is being visionaries and envisioning the world and creating the world that we want to exist and actually see. And so I think, you know, I, again, really appreciate Liz because she shares that value as well. And I think, too, you know, as you know, kind of grow into more of a leadership position, that really limits your ability to work one-on-one with people. And so I think, you know, Liz and I both, we really value the work that we share and the light that we bring to the world. And so we needed to figure out other ways that we could still, you know, create change or, you know, influence others in a positive light without actually having to sit across from them in 1-hour sessions. And so the meditations that we're recording, you know, are specifically around, you know, creating more self-compassion. If you are queer and trans, or you're just anybody, we all need self-compassion, right? So some self-compassion based meditations, resiliency meditations. We've got a deck of affirmation cards that we designed that are specifically around some self-compassion and designed for queer and trans folks.
How can people access those, the affirmation cards?
Okay, so all of that is on our Grounded Wellbeing website currently. So we have it in the store. And the affirmation cards right now, again, it's not where we're going to end up, but it's what we've got right now. We have a digital download of them where you can print them out at home. And then, we have big plans of getting them actually printed, kind of like an Oracle deck would be. So we do have a lot of, you know, clients who are really interested in tarot cards, Oracle cards, affirmation card decks. And so, you know, this was just another kind of creative way that we could lean into this and create some change. And then we have big plans of one day, you know, having retreats centered around queer and trans clinicians and or people who want to hold affirming spaces with others to really just, again, build community. That's a huge value that we have at Grounded Wellbeing, and to connect with each other and to take up this space because this work is hard and we need each other.
Yes. I love the work that you are all, that everyone at Grounded, I speak for all of Grounded Wellbeing. I just love that the visionary, you guys are in action with what you dream of. And it's inspirational for, I'm sure, for a lot of people, for individuals who are interested in the wellness world to know that there's accessibility, that there is opportunity, that wellness may look different for everybody, and even approach and the path to whether it's before therapy, there's affirmation cards or whatever it may look like, or a coloring book, and different opportunities to connect with the work that you all are doing and have been trained in, but also so thoughtful and passionate about, and just kind of infused with creativity and love. I love that. I think I'm going to make sure that we upload your TeleWellness Hub profiles. I realize this with all these things because I think I might have a little bit of that gene, like, well, let's do it. I never envisioned making a directory /podcast. I was minding my own business in my practice, but I was like, why doesn't this exist? You know? So yes, I can relate a little bit to that. So I was personally very inspired by this episode, and I'm sure that listeners and who are looking for these resources didn't know they existed, perhaps now they do. So I'm so grateful for your time, and for providers who have been looking for amazing colleagues. I cannot stress it enough to connect with Grounded Wellbeing and register for the Let's Talk About It conference. And anything else you want to mention in terms of long-term vision impact when it comes to maybe more insight for community?
Do you want
I'm looking at you. I think, you know, and I don't know, it might be, you can jump in here, Ryan, too, but I think something that we are hoping to, you know, long-term vision for Grounded Wellbeing is to really have, you know, we love our office and we'd love to have a much more community-based space where we can offer a lot of community resources at free and or lower cost, more accessible pricing, so that we can have a space to just like gather and be as like queer and trans people, providers, clients, things like that. I don't know if that's where you were going to go, Ryan, but that was my first thought.
Yeah. And so we want to create community in both ways, right? And I think it's incredibly powerful for clients to be able to see queer and trans clinicians thriving, and us to be able to model what success and, you know, thriving, especially in the South, you know, can look like. and that we're doing it and we're okay. And then, yeah, to share that space with them is really powerful. We partner with other local organizations as well. And we hold a, kind of like partner free community for board game space for trans youth. Yes. For trans adolescents locally as well. And so we try to partner with other organizations too and get the word out and share things via our newsletter. And I think big long-term goals, Liz and I would like to have a community of, therapists and clinicians who just want to connect with each other and do some of these fun creative projects, talk through ideas, things that we can share knowledge about, do the retreats, do that community building, and then potentially, be able to offer our own trainings and CEUs and all of that good stuff. So kind of bringing the vision together. And we have plans of having, like Liz mentioned, like a community access fund as well. And I spent a lot of years in nonprofit management before going into private practice. And so I have a lot of those skills that I can also bring to the table. And I think as social workers, we also think as, systems thinking a lot of times as well. And so, we just try to do everything that we can in that way.
I love that. How can people connect to be part of this journey with you while you make your visions come true and to be able to access all the resources that you have? What's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, so you can visit our website, groundedwellbeing.org. You can follow Grounded Wellbeing on Instagram. Our handle is at GWB Healing. You can follow my personal TikTok. I don't have as many followers as Liz. I'm a baby at this, but it's at Mindful Transcender. I hope to one day be able to share more around like meditations, mindfulness, things like that, and just take up my space within the wellness sector. Yeah, and connect with other queer and trans folks in that way. And Liz, I will throw it to you for your TikTok.
Yeah. So my TikTok is at Liz Rhea Therapy. And so I'm only on TikTok. I have not ventured into the world of Instagram, but and then like Ryan said, through our website, as well as I was trying to think if there was anything else. I think those are kind of the three main ways that people can connect with us. Other clinicians at our practice also have like TikToks or Instagrams, where they're, talking about their own like wellness work, which is really cool too.
I love that. So we'll make sure to include those handles in there. Ryan and Liz, thank you so much for representing Grounded Wellbeing and for representing Grounded Wellbeing and for sharing your time and for being a part of our wellness journey.
Thank you for having us.